Welcome to the BeerThralls presents the Beer Protocol. I'm James.
See,
I
I
am.
said the same thing, but it was sexier in that lost footage that will never be recovered. James, what are you drinking?
Welcome to BeerThralls presents the Beer Protocol. I'm James, and I'm drinking Dragon's Milk. Was that
Actual
was that
alcohol.
better?
That was better for some people.
Thank you. Thank
Uh, Hi, it's Jake. I am drinking Strange Ways Brewing Company's Lamplighter Amber Ale. This is
you. Yay!
not the label. This is just their local brewery. Has used the same can with everything, with just a text label,
That's
and
just
I
so
like
weird.
it. It's a nice amber ale.
All right, tink.
Cheers, clink.
We're gonna talk about Spirit Halloween.
A man with no chill whatsoever, no booze, questionable taste in women. It's Crossbones.
It's sin. Sin's not a questionable taste in women.
So Crossbones is our new core set version. Crossbones, the Merciless Merc. Brock Rumlow has 4 physical defense and 2 other of his defenses, energy and mystic. 6 health, 3 cost, size 2, short move. And the time between first core set and second core set, Brock has not been doing his cardio and is still a short move.
I mean, he's got big heavy boots on.
Okay. His builder is Plasma Beam, an Energy Beam 3 with 5 dice and 0 cost. After each attack is resolved, he gains 1 power. On a Wild and Skull, he has Pierce. His spender, up close and personal, is a physical range 2, 8 dice, 4 cost. After the attack is resolved, if the target character is size 2 or less, throw it short. No trigger, that is an automatic throw. He has a superpower, hit and run. For 2 cost, action to make an attack followed by a move. Can only be used once per turn. Finally, he has 2 passives, aggressive. After an attack targeting him is resolved, if he suffered damage, he can move short. I can take it. When he would suffer damage from an enemy effect, reduce it by 1 to a minimum of 1. On his injured side, he has 1 fewer stamina.
That is true.
So, Brock is still a pretty straightforward model.
He's still
His
good.
original Hmm?
He's gotten better.
I think he is better than his original incarnation, but like for comparison, Crossbones from the original box set had just 2 pretty straightforward physical attacks. Haymaker to buff up his add 3 dice to his next roll, as well as a power where he could spend power to reduce the amount of damage he suffers, and aggressive. So I think he still delivers on really similar things. In fact, I think he even has the same defenses and stamina. Like they actually didn't change his defensive block at all. He has the same health on both sides and the same defenses.
Yeah, but the thing
Um,
is with the old Crossbones is that he was deceptively mobile.
yes, with
Um,
aggressive.
and now I can take it. Basically makes him more tanky. With
It's
hit and run and aggressive, he's
mhm.
going to be moving a lot faster. That's why he's a short.
Hit and run is curious to me. It's still good. Any kind of action that combines moving and attacking is pretty good. Um, it's interesting though because I think what's the one I'm trying to think of? Charge. Charge would be bonkers good on Crossbones.
Yeah, that's why he doesn't have it.
Why he doesn't have it, because having charge into a beam 3 would be crazy good. Still, his builder, I think, is the single biggest change, and it's kind of an outstanding. A beam 3 on 5 dice with Pierce. I think we were talking about it previously. This is the first beam we've seen with Pierce.
Yeah, but it's a wild. And now remember, this is also per attack. So if you drop down the three and you're getting two people, and you roll a wild and a skull on one of them, it doesn't actually make it for both of them. So this is per attack, which means if you can get a lot of people clumped up, you can pretty much put that down and have like 4 or 5 different attacks.
I think 3 is the target. Where if we're gonna do White Room math, I would target 3. Just because getting more than 3 is just unless you're playing Gamma Shelters, that doesn't organically happen.
If
And
you hit your own guy by mistake or on
you do not
purpose,
get to count it as an attack, and you
it's
don't
not an
get
account.
energy.
Okay, that's the thing is I know they take a point of damage, but I didn't know if it counted as an attack.
No. Um, yeah, because there's no rolling of dice, and you don't resolve any of the other
Okay.
effects. So 3 enemies under the beam, especially on a beam 3. Like, I think 2 can be consistently done. So because of that, I think you're going to want Crossbones in a central scrum position. He wants to be where the people are. He
Yes.
and Ariel have that in common. They actually have a really good support group that just has them both in it for trying to deal with their need to be included.
Yeah. Um. Now
It's on Thursdays.
the now taking Sin with him still allows you to use the card that basically says, "Hey, if Sin is gone, Crossbows can go,"
Uh,
and
actually, fun question. Does it?
it says Crossbones.
Which he is not. He is Crossbones
Mm,
Merciless Merc. That is actually in bit of an issue right now, is that because those cards refer to Crossbones by card name and not alias, it does not work with Merciless Merc. So that is absolutely an
that
area where there
is
might be an errata.
that needs to be clarified.
So for you, how I know I'm right. One, I already knew I was right. Come on. Two, his new tactics card specifically uses his alias of Brock and not Crossbones.
Oh, so it says if Brock Rumlow.
Yes.
Okay, which makes sense because other Crossbones is Brock Rumlow.
Yep.
So
So that is I was going to get to that with the tactics, but good thing you bring it up now is it's just really important to be aware. Let me actually look at Sin's card real quick because I forgot to check her in advance before we started today. A Partners in Crime, where she gets to activate Crossbones, her card says an allied Crossbones, which again does not refer to his
does not
alias. It means
refer
it
to his
does
Merciless
not
Merc.
work.
Hmm. That is
So
unfortunate.
currently, until there's some kind of errata, which there may very well be, I haven't gone to check. I don't think Sin was in the latest round, but she
No,
might have been.
she was not.
Unless they update it, none of the Sin Crossbones synergy works for Merciless Merc.
That is upsetting.
You weren't going to play them both in Criminal Syndicate anyway.
May have.
Just completely shattered.
I mean, okay, he's good. I mean, he's all
I
right.
think
I
for
really want to
three,
drink, but at the same time, I want to say how good he is.
you drink. I think for 3 threat, Crossbones is really interesting. Reducing his emphasis on really short range engagement, aggressive plus a beam 3. I think that makes aggressive a really interesting decision space for players. Is when your crossbone gets pinged, especially if somehow it happens. Like if your opponent somehow makes an attack during your activation, just start cackling.
Oh, that
Because
is a
now you can
good.
aggressive to line up your beam.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, if you get like um, because it does say after an oh, it's after an
It's an
attack.
attack. Has to be an attack. There's not a lot of
So,
attacks that happen during your turn, but there are a couple tactics cards. So
now the thing is though is that like Black Widow's retaliation, Winter Soldier shooting people when somebody gets stunned, those are not. Sorry, Winter
Winter
Soldier is
Soldier
an
is.
attack.
So a superpower will not trigger it. An
Correct.
attack granted by a superpower will trigger it.
Yes.
So
Um,
that's one thing to be aware of. But even just lining up your aggressive movements to set up a beam on Crossbone's next activation is, I think, a really kind of quiet. Like again, it's not super hidden. It's not like we've cracked the code for Crossbones.
I mean
It's more just
it's right there.
if you think about it, that is very much I feel how they intended his play to work. And James, are you printing something in the background?
No.
I can see the print head moving, James. Sorry, I just noticed it. Anyway, um, we just see like a time lapse of this video. We're still talking about Crossbones in 2 hours, and there's just like a small building. Um,
Um, so yes,
so
you
yeah,
kind of want Crossbones to either go middle of the round or late in the round. You're going to be using his aggressive to get into position. You're going to use it where it's like, especially late in the round, you're going to be using it to try to get as many people under the beam as possible.
or or early in the round, if your opponent hasn't had time to break them up, I would say if you go late one round, beam. especially if you used aggressive to set yourself up. Go early with crossbones the next round before your opponents had a chance to separate them and keep beaming.
I
Again,
mean,
like
the
with
up
a lot
close
of things
and
with MCP, situations are going to change. Activate when it's most opportune or when you're like, this is good enough.
well, I do like the automatic throw on up close and personal. The only
Yeah,
thing
let's talk.
is, it's only size 2.
Well, we could talk about that for a little bit. So, a size 2 limited but automatic throw isn't bad. I don't think it's bad at all. It's just going to be aware that you're not going to be able to throw certain big boys. But majority of the characters in the game are size 2 or less. So, it's not at all crippling. If you think for what it costs as a superpower to throw terrain and or characters, 3 is pretty average. So spending 4 to also hit them for 8 dice and then throw them, pretty good.
I
It's a
mean,
good spender.
on 8 dice, you might actually flip them, so watch out for that too.
Well, remember, the throw only does maximum 1 more damage. You're not damaging the main target with a throw. You're
No,
damaging the secondary target.
yeah, I know, but it says after this attack resolved, which means damage is resolved also, which means you cannot throw a dazed character or a KO'd character.
Yep.
So it's kind of useless to be like, oh, he's sitting on 2 health and I'm throwing 8 dice. More than likely, you're going to flip them.
Unless that's really all you wanted.
Yeah.
Because if they're flipped or, KO'd, they're not going to score either.
Please tell me he's got some really amazing tactic cards.
He has exactly 1 tactic card.
Tell me he
Oh,
has a
sorry.
really amazing tactic card.
A couple more minor points I thought of. It is worth noting you do have a flat builder with the beam. Crossbones energy requirements are not super high. Hit and
Yeah.
run is really, really good. I could see you spending most of the game using the beam with hit and run. Um, and then I can take it being passive damage reduction instead of paid damage reduction, even to a minimum of 1, does a lot to take his power spending under control.
Yeah, I would do
That
hit and
said,
run on like a plasma beam if I
mhm,
have the B3, if I have the 3 template hitting somebody, just so I can make that short move, so I can then try to get more people under the beam.
yeah. Like even hit and run to plasma beam into another plasma beam
Yeah,
with the positioning feels pretty good.
yeah.
Overall, let's look at his tactic card. See if it blows us away. Dig in, a reactive tactic card. Mhm.
Wow.
During the power phase, an allied Brock Rumlow can play this card, no cost. This round, Brock Rumlow cannot be moved by enemy or allied effects.
Does that count as own?
Uh,
Does that kill aggressive?
Thematically, I would say yes. Um, Secondarily, like rules wise, this is a classic rules as written versus rules as intended. I believe you are your own allied model, so I'm going to say yes because that feels like the intent. Because give me a moment to finish the card. So cannot be moved. Additionally, for the rest of this round, while defending, Brock Rumlow re-rolls any number of his dice. So this is very much like the intent for here is just like, hey, Crossbones got to an objective. He's holding it. He lives. Actually, this is not a this is a Cabal affiliated card. I should mention that. Suck at Criminal Syndicate. You do not get a card to make a piece unmovable.
Damn it.
No. um. So, but yeah, for a 3 threat model, this feels like a decent card. It buffs the survivability a bit. It makes him impossible to get rid of. When you really just want to cement time on a point, this feels good. I don't know with the new tactic cards that are coming out, as well as the rebalanced tactic cards coming out for the end of 2023 with the new deck included in the new core set and Salt Standalone. I don't know where this is going to fit in for. Is this going to be something you reach for with your 5 for a game?
I think that
Because
it's
remember,
pretty good if you're like staring down a juggernaut or a rhino or something that you're going to get thrown pretty easily. And you need to sit on a point. But I think there's other like he's still a 3 threat character. He's not going to be your tank. He's not going to be sitting there on a point just holding it. He wants to be in the front line.
unless that is the front line.
I mean, but you're going to be losing aggressive, and I think that kind of right there. like even go, you can re-roll your 2 dice on an energy or a psychic attack.
Mhm.
I don't see it's worthwhile.
So my counterpoint on the aggressive is I don't think aggressive matters necessarily, because if you're counting on aggressive to get where you need to go, you're not going to play this. This is for when you get there. Like this, you play this card once Crossbones got where he wants to be,
Yeah,
and
but
he
that
does not want to move anymore.
Crossbones wants to keep moving. He wants to keep getting people under his beam. He wants to be generating power for other things. If I was able to, if I was like, if you were like, I'm throwing down a Sam wide list, I'd be like, absolutely, I'm going to throw beams because you're going to have a ton of characters on the table. If we're playing senators, where they're all clumped up in the middle, or playing gamma shelters, definitely take the beam. Um, I mean, I don't see him using it as a tank where he's going to sit at a point and just be like, I'm sitting here for the rest of the game. Because
I guess
remember,
my remember it's one round. It's just one round.
I mean, because remember also aggressive can make it where like you move towards the attacking character, which can be completely at an angle. You could be getting behind cover.
Or you could just already be behind cover and contesting. Uh so for this one, again, I think the card's all right. Remember that Indomitable is I think a restricted card that came with Colossus, and a lot of people bought that box just for Indomitable,
I have
which
it
is
just for
block
Domitable.
block 1 reposition effect, whereas this is for Crossbones block all of them.
Yeah, but I'm using that on like Rhino, or I'm using that on Kingpin, or I'm using that on like Lizard.
Mhm.
I'm not going to be like, oh, my keystone for this entire list is Crossbones sitting on a point for a round.
I I guess, but I think my conflict on this one is I feel like you're assuming that this is a make or break thing where it's just like I just don't want like hella to move my one model in the area off a point and it happens to be Crossbones and
I,
just shut down all of your opponent's manipulation and be like you have to come here.
Now, okay, if this was early MCP where Enchantress dropped and she was moving people all across the field, absolutely I would take this card
Probably
with
gave
him.
Hella a new power to do this, right? It's a big part of why Hella's coming back.
We haven't talked about Hela.
The short version is they gave Hella an enchantress come over here, and if you get within one, I stab you.
Yeah, I know. She's gonna be really good for
It's,
Criminal Syndicate.
it's pretty good.
Um,
She's pretty good for Criminal Syndicate.
um,
I actually have seen people even just be like, yeah, I took her in Midnight Suns because she bleeds
she
people.
bleeds people, and Blade's over there going, yes.
Apparently, Blade also got buffed, so Blade's much more self
Yeah,
sufficient.
there's gonna be so many characters we need to talk about in their buffs because
Yeah.
they got a lot of people who are
So,
now going to be completely changed the way they play. But
mhm.
like Crossbones, you know what? You're going to give him the core set. You're going to play Cabal. I take him in Cabal.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing Crossbones has going for him is I think the beam.
Sorry,
And a guaranteed throw.
I lied. I would take him in Cabal wide. If I was doing Cabal tall, I definitely would not take him.
Okay, that's fair. I don't play enough Cabal to counteract your argument, so I'm just like, cheers.
I mean, original Red Skull with this is kind of nice.
I mean, that can stack up a lot of power really quickly for our boy, which just means a lot of throws.
I mean, it's on the first attack, but if I'm doing 2 beams a turn, getting 1 power. So I'm like generating possibly 4 power a turn base.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a up close and personal.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I think he's decent.
He's okay.
I don't think he's gonna light anyone's local meta on fire, but I think he's. I mean, you see, we even saw in our Nova tournaments, people were taking original Crossbones.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Um,
still a
so I
good
think
character.
he still does the job he's there to do. He's just not particularly flashy about it.
And and that's the problem is that he feels
I don't know if it's a problem. I like workhorse
he
models that
feels
just work.
I
Looking
know.
at you, Moon Knight.
He
Actually, wait, Moon
feels
Knight's got gimmicks.
yeah, he feels very um reliable. You know what he's going to do, you know how he's going to do it. There's not much thought in it. Go ahead and drop him.
If he wasn't a terrorist, I'd say he's a good old fashioned blue collar working man.
He's not a terrorist, he's a merc.
Uh huh.
He just works for terrorist organizations.
He's the merciless Merc.
I mean, that's just an adjective.
And on that note, thank you so much for watching today's episode of Crisis Protocol. We hope you're enjoying, looking forward to what kind of shenanigans we're going to get up to at the core set. James, do we have anything to promote for our various activities?
No.
Wrong. In
Oh,
December, in our local Virginia area, we are going to be doing our annual food drive, food machine. We are still working on the final date, so we'll be announcing more details as we get closer. But we look forward to seeing our local friends and other players at the event
I hope to be there too.
in spirit,
No,
in
I'll be there. I'll show up with
Christmas
cans.
spirit.
Thank you all for watching. Game off.
Game off.